If you're just getting started in watercolor, you might be confused about what type of supplies to purchase. And so I'm just going to show you what I recommend for my beginner students. And this is actually a beginner palette right here. What I do in my local classes is I pre-fill a palette of paint for my students, and then they get to use the same colors and quality of paint that I use. Most of these paints in here, and there is a supply list attached to this lesson. Most of the paints in my palette here are from Daniel Smith, and Daniel Smith watercolors come in just one grade, so you don't have to worry about whether or not you're buying artist quality or student quality. You're just getting the exact same paint that many professional artists use exclusively. And what I like to do is I like to pre-fill my palette. I'll squirt out a quantity into the palette and allow it to dry and set. And it dries, as you can see, to a nice firm consistency. Over time, some paints can get really kind of over dried. And this is my palette here, and you can see how dry this is. It's hard as a rock. And that's not fun to use. It's very hard to reconstitute, although with patience and a damp brush you can soften that color enough to use it. But I find with the Daniel Smith paints, they do last a very long time in this nice firm consistency. Just a clean damp brush will moisten that paint and you can pick up a good quantity of pigment. I use my paints like this because I find that if you're squirting them straight out of the tube, you're going to use a lot more, and a lot of it's going to get wasted. You're going to rinse your brush, and a lot of it's just going to end up in your water rather than on your paper. And so by using it firm in the palette, you're stroking the top of the paint with your brush, just using what you're actually going to use, rather than accidentally picking up a really soft glob of fresh paint and then having way too much on your brush and just going through these little tiny tubes very quickly. And that is a reason why watercolor paints come in such small tubes as compared to oil or acrylic. You're using less paint, you're mixing with water, and preferably using it in your palette like this. The exception is I might squirt out fresh pigment if I want something to be extra vibrant, to have a little more pigment on my brush, to do a fluid wash of really vibrant color. But really, I have no trouble using my paint like this. If you find that weeks or months are going by between painting sessions, once your palette has dried so you don't have puddles on it, you might want to put it into a plastic bag just to help keep the color from getting too dry. So that's the paint. The palette that you see here is very basic. It's just made by Reeves, I believe. And they cost about $3.50, and I purchase mine online. And I can give you a link for that, which will be linked up with my supply list. Paper. Paper is an area of watercolor that I think most people struggle with spending money on paper. And this is really unfortunate, because what happens is when you're using a poor quality paper, you're not going to get the same action and reaction that you get with professional quality paper. And the problem with that is you might think, well, I'm going to practice on student grade paper, and then when I use professional paper, it'll be for my serious paintings, you know, the ones I really want to spend a lot of time on. Problem with that is you're going to develop a certain method of painting using student grade paper that isn't necessarily going to work when you go to the artist quality paper. It just doesn't flow the same way on cheap paper. So I encourage you, Arches is the benchmark brand. Most art supply stores carry Arches watercolor paper. It's been made in France since 1492. They come in different textures: hot press, cold press, and rough. I prefer cold pressed. It's got a bit of a texture to it. You can probably see it here. It's got a bit of a texture to it, but not super rough where your brush is going to skip across and not have color flowing into the little dents. And it's not so slick that with hot press it just seems like when you're using a lot of water you don't get the same fluidity. Again, if you're painting with a lot of detail, that's where you'd like to have hot press. So that's what I prefer. The other thing you'll see here is a poundage weight here, and 140 pounds is not how much it weighs, but how much pressure it's put under to create the paper. And so 140 pound is a little bit thinner, or actually I don't even know if it's pressure. I think it's something to do with how much this product, the pulp, weighed when they put it in the mold or something. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. 140 pound, as you can see, it's a thicker paper. It's not as thick as 300 pound. The higher the number, the thicker the paper. 140 pound is a little bit more affordable, although personally I prefer 300 pound to paint with. 140 pound is affordable and the quality is great, so I encourage you to use it. To source out some Arches 140 pound cold press, that's what I'll be using in my demonstrations. And so if you want to get similar results to me, try to be using a good quality paper. There are other brands that are good, and I will include those in my supply list as well. Brushes. Again, this is what I provide my students, and actually it's usually a flat brush and a smaller round brush. This is a number 8 round. And this is a synthetic mix. I believe this is synthetic as well, although it's a number 18. Again, the higher the number, the bigger the brush. And this is a 1-inch flat. I prefer to paint with like a number 18 or number 14 because I like to be able to cover a lot of, it holds a lot of pigment, I can cover a lot of ground quickly, and yet it keeps a round brush keeps a nice fine point, so that when you want that fine detail, you have it, even though it's a bigger brush. Once the tip starts to wear down, then I replace my brush, and this one's pretty much due for a replacement, actually. And the deal with using brushes, you'll see there's synthetic, there's sable, there's squirrel hair, and all these other different qualities, types of fiber in your brush. Well, the sable brushes are the most expensive, and a lot of people say that's the professional artist standard. Personally, I'm a little bit hard on my brushes. Working with dry paint like this, you tend to be, it's rubbing across a rougher surface, and I don't want to switch brushes so that I can scrub up some color and then go back to my fancy brush. So I'd rather just use a synthetic brush that will wear out a little bit faster and be willing to replace it. If I've only spent $10 on a brush, it's a lot easier to replace than one I've spent $100 on. So again, synthetic brushes, they work for me. I also find they're a little bit stiffer than a sable brush, and I actually like that increased bit of firmness and a little bit of bounce. These definitely are not as firm as an oil painting brush, though. You want to buy a watercolor brush. Again, one good round brush will actually be all you really need, although the flat brush is nice for filling a large area of color. So that's paper, paint, and brushes. And there's a few household items you're going to want to have. You're going to want to have water containers, and I just use old margarine or cream cheese or whatever, yogurt containers. I rinse them out, and I always have two. I have two here right now. One for clean water and one for cleaning a dirty brush. So I'll clean my dirty brush in this one, it'll get all murky, and then when I need nice clean water, I'll go into this other one. And I kind of always keep them side by side, dirty on this side, clean on this side, and then I know I can switch my water without even looking. You'll also want paper towel, excellent for blotting your brush, lifting up mistakes, and cleaning up spills. I sometimes like to tape down my paper, so I have this painter's tape that I use for that, and I have a spray bottle of water, and what I use that for is when I get started painting, I will just wet down my palette with a nice spritz of water, and then my paints are ready to go. If you don't have a spray bottle, you can just take a brush and drip a little clear water into each palette. One of my friends spends about half an hour every time she starts painting, and she not only spritzes her palette, but she will take her brush and she will actually soften out the color on the surface of her palette, just scrubbing it with a brush and getting it all nice and moist so that it's all ready for her. Personally, I don't do that, but every artist has their own methods, and some artists spend a lot more time in preparation than I do. Personally, I prefer to just start painting. So that's what we're going to do next. Again, take a look further into this lesson, at the bottom of the page you will see my supply list that you can download. It includes links for shopping in North America. And if you are living outside of North America and want to recommend an art supply store, please do so in the student gallery area or in the comments section, of this lesson. So go ahead and do that, and thanks for all your insights. Any questions you have regarding supplies, you can address to me either by email at ang@angelafehr.com or in the comments section of this lesson.